If you want to win the Grand National Cross Country Championship, you've got to be able to perform under all conditions. And down the stretch of the 2015 AMSOIL Championship Tour, that's exactly what Walker Fowler has done, winning a wet and wild Mountain Ridge GNCC, putting a title within his sights. Time to run the gauntlet again in the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Maxxis. Today, the venerable ATV tires Powerline Park GNCC from the very slippery hills of Ohio. The big mud holes have been here also since we started racing at this event in 2001. So whether you're jumping over the mud, digging down deep in it, or sliding over the top, traction will be at a premium. Things are looking good for the number 2, Walker Fowler, your series points leader. Won our last race in even worse mud conditions in Pennsylvania. There is Adam McGill, the green machine there, still has a shot at knocking Fowler out of the points lead. And this rider, Jared McClure, has been very strong as of late. Got a victory a few rounds ago at Snowshoe and has been a consistent podium guy all year long. So those are probably the 3 biggest guns coming into this. You never count out, though, the multi-time champion Chris Borich, some of the young guns that are in the field as well. Chris Bithell, he has a race win under his belt this year. A pretty deep field, ready to go racing through the fields of Ohio, and then we'll be down in the mud at the ATV Tires Powerline Park GNCC, and a great leap out of the hole for McGill. Made that one easy. AMSOIL Hole Shot Award coming his way, and I think that's Fowler right behind him, so we've set ourselves up for a great duel between the riders that have won the majority of the races this year and have been fighting for the points lead. Although McGill, as I've said over and over this year, is so dangerous when he gets the good starts. He can roll early. Fowler settling into second, but losing a little ground. And then Borich quickly up to third on his Maxxis-backed Yamaha. And the rest of the field working their way through. So strange when you come here to Powerline Park. The majority of Ohio in this area of the country pretty flat, but then this small region is quite hilly, and this track's certainly no exception. And this is a really cool section out in these big fields where fans can see a lot of the racing. But you gotta be careful because traction is hard to find even out there. It's not muddy in these sections, but it's so hard packed. And it's hard to find the good stuff because of the dust. So there might be a little berm or rut you could use, but it's hard to find it. The field is already strung out quite a bit here in the fields because of the dust, but just wait until they're deep into the woods. Things I expect will tighten up. And Fowler trying to get a bead right now on McGill. And always interesting to see Chris Borich, 6-time and defending GNCC champ. What's he got up his sleeves today? Jay Shadron comes through next. I think that was Brian Wolf. And Kevin Yoho and McClure coming through next. Just taking guesses here as everybody's already covered. There's Chris Bithell, a bad start. He's at the back of the pack on the Suzuki. Onto the road comes McGill. There'll be some mud down here, and it's always an experiment to figure out what's the best line through. One of these mud holes, they call it Gus's Mud Hole, and that was named after a gentleman who was on our TV crew the very first year we did these TV shows. That was back in 2001. And let's see who picks their way through there best. Looks like Fowler is now in the lead. I have lost track of McGill altogether. I think that's him all the way on the right. So the line choice didn't work out for him. And as I suspected, things are tightening up now that dust is no longer a factor. Brian Wolf picking a line through the middle, trying to make up ground, but it is Fowler retaking the lead and still looking around, figuring out where to go. McGill takes second back from Borich. And you're talking about 3 big guns up front in this one. Certainly Borich hasn't gotten the headlines this year because he hasn't won a race, but he's still got the number 1 plate in this machine. He knows what to do when he's up front, and these fans know what to do. Get down to these power lines and watch the best riders try to jump over the mud. That's an always spectacular section the fans get down to every year. Although there are probably more difficult sections trapped out in the woods where the riders will truly get stuck. Right now, Fowler wrestling that thing through like it's a TT machine. Looking good on the NFAB and Pro Yamaha. But McGill, you can see the aggression when he dropped back to third, quickly back to second. He wants to lead. Stay with us. Racer TV is brought to you by AMSOIL and by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Ohio's own Walker Fowler leading the way here in Ohio. Powerline Park GNCC. He's got Adam McGill not too far behind him. And a little bit of distance built up. Is it still Chris Borich third? Yes, it is. And no change in the order yet. You can see McGill, though, really pushing that second place spot, trying to close back in on Fowler. Then it's Brian Wolf coming through on the Fast Tracks Honda. He's gotten around Shadron, who's on the Coastal Waynesburg Yamaha. That's Bithell trying to make up ground after that bad start. We'd like to see what Brian Wolf can do if he can hook up with this group. The speed is never a question for Wolf, but the consistency getting to the finish has been the problem the last few years. Let's see if he can close in on this top three. Now that he's gotten a fourth. What a battle! Shadron has actually gotten Wolf back. You got McClure right there as well. Yoho, Bithell, and pretty sure that's Bryson Neal there as well. So a great tussle. You basically have these top three setting the pace, pulling away from each other and everyone else, and then behind them, just a furious pack. There's Borich, trying to keep McGill in sight. Now it looks like Wolf has repassed Shadron. And you gotta watch for the sneaky snake, Jared McClure. He came through after those two on the JMR ATVRiders.com machine. Look out! These fans know exactly where to go to find the good stuff and not truly interfere with the racing, although they're certainly allowed to get involved if one of these machines gets stuck. You can see McGill has closed the gap up a little bit. Still experimenting with a different line around the outside of the mud. And Fowler has reopened it up just a bit. So tempting to just blast through this stuff and make up a bunch of ground, but in the long run, you'll just ruin your goggles and your gloves, and it's a lot worse that way. So these guys will back it down just a little bit through the mud. That's Borich in third. Here we go. A big hill climb with mud at the bottom. That's cross-country racing at its best. Fowler, a little bit of a problem. No issues for McGill. And Borich able to walk it to the top as well. And now to the mud jump. Yeah, and that's the furthest I've seen anyone launch it in a long time. Fowler. Here comes McGill. And they've opened it up a bit over Borich. I don't even know if half these fans know who they're cheering for or what is going on as far as winning the race. They just want to see some jumps. They want to see some action in the hills and the mud. Borich is going to bring it here. And that's the cool part about cross-country racing. You find a spot down there, like I said, you don't necessarily have to pay attention to who's leading the race. You want to see every one of these riders come through in all the different classes, the amateur divisions as well, and you just want to see something exciting happen. For these riders, though, it's really not about the highlight reel. It's about the results chart. And right now, Walker Fowler has been looking good. I believe that's his mom right there, clapping for him, and he's pulled away a bit from McGill. So McGill's going to have to ramp it back up here in the second half of this ITP Tires Powerline Park GNCC. Racer TV is brought to you by AMSOIL and by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Walker Fowler putting tracks down at Powerline Park, making it look good on his Yamaha. It has been a big rallying point for him. The second half of the year has been so good. Adam McGill had the jump on everyone early in the season, half points lead. Some bad luck down the stretch at a couple of races has cost him, though, when he should have been getting at least second or third. Was barely getting into the top 10, even had to push his machine across the line in a race recently just to get any points at all. Last 6 races, Fowler has 4 wins and 2 seconds, and that's what has moved him into the points lead. Certainly, the bad luck for McGill helped, but a lot of these riders will tell you the bad luck is just going to happen in cross-country racing. It's a matter of if you're going to have it early in the year or late in the year, but it'll get you. Fowler had his trouble early, and he has given a lot of credit to the battle that he had with Borich for the championship a year ago. It was right down to the wire, and Borich edged him literally in the last turn of the last lap of the season. And Fowler has learned from that. He's putting it together down when the races really count here, latter portion of the year. No change in the running order. Still McGill and Borich second and third. Wow, Fowler lighting up that right-hander. Not too shabby for McGill either. Just love watching these guys when they're at the top of their game. I mean, they are just tap dancing through. You think they're going to miss the main line, maybe clip a tree, and then they end up putting the machine right where they want it. Look at that little double jump that McGill invented on this stretch. A little bit further to the inside of the left-hander at the end of that section than Fowler. These 3 are on the gas today. Again, look at the speed of Fowler in that corner. So that's what McGill has to match. And he is hustling. Borich coming through in third. Now down to the mud jump. Another huge leap for Fowler. I think he gets over most of the sticky stuff, so it's actually a smoother landing. Here comes McGill. And now Borich trying to close that gap up. Fowler pitching it in, a brief look over his shoulder. Nothing to see there. He's got a big enough lead where McGill's not in sight, so he can keep the hammer down, but not much pressure either. And the 1 lap to go sign, both from Ricky Towery with the white flag, but also his mom giving him the number 1 index finger. So 1 to go for Walker Fowler, who has pulled away, and I'll tell you, he has taken most of the drama out of this race. I mean, this is unreal. McGill rode very well, really put his head down the last lap and a half, but has not been able to make up any ground. In fact, now it's a little bit bigger gap than before. So, the only hope for McGill, the same bad luck that has struck him on the last lap the last few races, maybe it'll catch Fowler today. Otherwise, everyone's going to have a hard time catching the number 2. Racer TV is brought to you by AMSOIL and by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Stretch run here at Powerline Park. It has been a virtuoso performance from Walker Fowler, and these fans in the woods, they're getting a front row seat to how it's done in 2015. These two have been so good. Adam McGill in second, very quick. Still Chris Borich solid in third, but Fowler has just been on fire today. And anyone that's been able to watch this, you certainly can learn a thing or two about the momentum and how to pick the right lines. This kid just has incredible talent, and he kind of is that next level. Took a long time to topple this man, though. Chris Borich, solid in third right now. It looks like Borich will definitely be handing the #1 plate over at the end of this year and might not even get a win in 2015 unless he can rally today or at our finale at the Ironman. But don't think that Fowler getting to the top, he's going to forget all the battles and, yes, all the losses he took to Chris Borich along the way. But whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and now they've got quite a beast to deal with, not just this year, but into the future with Fowler, who just keeps building confidence. Will be interesting to see Borich next year, though. I'd like to have him get another full offseason in on that Yamaha and see if he can up the game. Battle still raging behind them. Oh! Bryson Neal just holding off Jared McClure. This is a furious fight, and they are actually going a little quicker than Borich right now. That fight for 4th and 5th could end up being a fight for 3rd, 4th, and 5th before it's over. Meanwhile, just up through the gearbox goes Fowler, who has been nearly untouchable today. A nice little AMSOIL hole shot award going to McGill. Had the lead. Bad line through that Gus's mud hole early. Coughed the lead up to Fowler. And I thought it was going to be a battle from there, but Walker has just been on a very high level today. Here's Borich third. Let's see how close. He takes a look over. He wants to know how close as well. How close is that battle with Bryson Neal and Jared McClure? And here they are. Still wheel to wheel. And when you push like that to pass each other, they're going to go faster than Borich, who's out by himself right now. That's why Borich looking over his shoulders, trying to figure out what does he need to do. How much time does he have to work with? Whoa, hang on to it, Walker. And a little bit smoother this uphill for McGill today than for Fowler. But these aren't huge mistakes. We're talking tenths of seconds in a 2-hour event. Borich still working and still looking. How much ground does he have? It keeps getting smaller. Bryson Neal making a real run at it. Meanwhile, field section for the last time. And just everything you see from Walker Fowler is so good. From that big mud jump to his line through the woods, even his technique through these corners here, he was unfallible today. Another big step toward a potential championship. Walker Fowler wins the ITP Tires Powerline Park GNCC. If you hadn't seen Walker today, you would swear that Adam McGill was a race winner. He certainly rode well enough to get it. I'm going to give him first in the mere mortals division. Fowler was just incredible. And here we are. Battle for third is on. That Neal and McClure battle, they have caught Borich. And Borich knew it was coming. He kept looking over, and it looks like the champ, hey, he knows how to handle these things late in the game, has just enough distance, and let those two keep fighting. He is going to put his Yamaha on the podium. Neal and McClure are going to end up 4th and 5th. Shadron 6th, Bithell, Yoho, Josh Merritt, and Wolf round out the top 10. That's the XC1 class today. To the AMSOIL race recap after these Rocky Mountain ATV MC results. Hole shot for McGill. But a rare good start for Walker Fowler, who told us actually been struggling with the starts this year. He was happy to just start second. Then he takes the lead from McGill. A little chase early on with Borich in it as well. But man, Walker Fowler was really good today. Saw a couple of big bursts from Adam McGill, but it was not enough to put a real dent in the lead that Fowler had built up. He goes on to win his 4th race in the last 5. McGill second. The old champ holds off the kids for the final spot on the podium. Thanks for watching Racer TV.